My name is Lekesha and I am part of a young women's group called YYs. And I am also one of the hosts on A Teen's Journey that features live on Facebook 6 p.m. every Wednesday.
I'm Lekesha. I'm a member from a young women's group called YYs. Living in Ocean View is like out of the ordinary, like it's like any teenager. Like you'll see a lot of things like good and bad, but mainly I'll focus on the good things, but also you see the negativity that's also impacting other teenagers.
My experience as a teen is that we face many challenges, but even though we have many challenges, there's always the best possible outcomes that we as teens try to reach. And living in a community like Ocean View that's full of gangsterism, there is also good aspects to it, and there's also good things that Ocean View brings. So, welcome everyone. We're back again with another episode, and tonight we will be speaking about peer pressure. With us tonight, we have a guest speaker, which is V, and V will be telling us a little bit more about herself. Good evening, everybody. We're back with another episode. Okay. Good evening, everybody. We're back with once again another episode of A Teen's Journey. So this evening we will be speaking about peer pressure and what it is as a youth to experience peer pressure in different areas, different aspects of our lives as a youth. So what is peer pressure? Peer pressure. Peer pressure is the influence of people in the same social group. So what does that mean? Like it's a influence like if you are youth in a group and the way they influence you, that is called peer pressure. Or if you are even work colleagues in a group and the way they influence you is also it falls under peer pressure. It basically describes the effect that influence has on you as a person. So if we think about peer pressure, we will mostly think about friends or classmates or whatever it is that we find ourselves in. So
Um, there are different types of peer pressure. The first one is spoken pressure. What this means is like this type of peer pressure involves one individual or group asking another individual or peer to participate in some type of behavior. For example, is like when one of your friends asks you to smoke marijuana with them while holding it in front of you. So it's like another form of like forcing you to do the habits they are doing while they know it's gonna put you in a situation and make trouble for you because you don't smoke it. Um, do you have any opinion on that, V or Lekesha, of spoken peer pressure? Do you have any examples to what that of?
before I go, V, can you hear
Y-
me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly now.
So you can hear me now. Okay, so we back.
Yeah.
We in full swing. So,
Yes.
guys, this evening, okay, speaker, as you guys can see, is V. So, before we like go on with the topic and what we will be speaking about today, V, can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Vimbai, but as you can see, anyone can call me V. I'm 16 years old and I've been a part of YYs for 2 years now. This is my third year. And I'm in my mid year. So, yeah, that's all I can say.
So, yes, guys, V is also a part of our group, and we're very excited to have her here with us this evening as we speak about this topic that most of us youth face at schools, at home, even also like in the outside life, with your friends. You always like under pressure, whether it be good or bad. You have like that peer pressure that you need to go through. So, V, what do you think peer pressure is to you?
Peer pressure for me, I can say, is a type of a form of pressure that you face around people your age mate. Like I can say around my friends, we all age mates. So the pressurize you into doing something you don't feel like you want to do, but you end up doing it because your peers type of friends are also doing it.
That's about right, V. So, like, peer pressure is also often the thought like to be the free, like to be a part, like it's also like a way to fit in with your friends. That's
Mm.
also what you can define peer pressure as. Like it's like the influence that your friends have on you, whether it be negatively or
Mm.
positively. Your friends, like, they can be positive influence, they can be negative influences, but it's all in the way you adapt and process the peer pressure. So,
Mm,
Lakeisha, in a scenario, was there ever a scenario where you were peer pressured?
um, I'd say yes, positive and negatively. So my positively was like I was pressured into like in my classmates because like they know I have potential in some of my subjects, but I just don't want to reach it. And they like push me like, come on, Lakeisha, you can do this. We know you can. And because of that type of peer pressure, and it's positive, it pushes you like to do more because like they see something in yourself that you don't, and and makes you like want to do more. And the negative way, like I've got peer pressure is like into skipping a class or so, and I've tried it and it didn't work out because it degrades you and like your aptitude in class. So one thing about that is like I've learned about positive and negative peer pressure, like from both my friends in my class. So it's both like
one day it's positive, the next day it's negative. It's all depending on the mood.
That's good, Lekesha. It's good that you also like have a scenario like I wanna be more real this evening. Like is V, let's ask you, was there
Mm.
like something relatable, a story that you have that where you were peer pressured positively or negatively and you fell into the pressure?
Yeah, my positive peer pressure, I think, is also school wise because I have these friends of mine who like make sure I'm studying every day, just ask me questions randomly because I'm very lazy. So I don't like I barely touch my books when I'm home. So yeah, my friends also helped me manage to get to be able to do my work, but the negative peer pressure, I think that's more actually because if you kind of notice it, the negative peer pressure always tend to get to you more than the positive ones. Like one time, my friends were having this thing at school, like we should all bunk this period, and I ended up bunking the period. And funny thing is, the next day we had to write a test on what they did the day before, and I didn't know nothing. So yeah, sometimes the negative peer pressure don't end up in a bad way, but most of them end up in something happening bad in your daily life routine.
So
So
we, sorry, Lakeisha. So we, what is it like being a foreigner, like coming to adapt to Cape Town, and that how is the peer pressure like for you to adapt to us as a foreigner?
Um, at first, I would say it was kind of difficult because you tend, when I came to South Africa, the first thing that I saw was the kids in the corners, like the ones
Mm.
smoking, drinking, banking the schoolwork and everything. So I thought that was like the normal way this side. Like, oh, okay, we can all skip school, it's fine. But when I saw and changed myself and hanged around in different groups, I was like, wait a minute, there's actually good people out there, and I can actually learn more from friends who pressurize you into doing the better stuff. So peer pressure as a foreigner can be very risky and very tempting because I have most of my friends also who I came with from Zimbabwe, and I don't even know where most of them are right now. They all dropped out of school because they followed in the wrong groups. So yeah, as a foreigner, it's hectic
Oh,
because you'll be trying to fit in with everyone and not looking like a foreigner or something.
Lakeisha? Okay, so like you said, like it's risky and that, like, can you explain more like how it's risky to be a foreigner in like other country or other land?
I wouldn't say it's like very risky, like in, let's say, physical ways, like you can get injured or something. Not that type. It's risky in your emotional and mental being because as a foreigner, you wanna try and fit in groups and make yourself feel the same as everyone else and not look back at your own self like in Zimbabwe. I speak Shona, and there's people out there who are not happy with being Zimbabwean that they speak Shona. So it may be risky because you feel like you want to change yourself and forget who you are as a person, and then that's when you end up giving into peer pressure, and most times it doesn't end well for those people.
so V, um
Mm-hmm.
I also have like a story where I was peer pressured negatively, but it's still like negatively and positively. I wouldn't say like I can't really identify what it was, but it was in eighth grade. It was like my first year in high school, and I was like pressured, what group to now, where in what group do I fit in? Because they came like
Yeah.
groups to me. to ask me, you wanna hang with us, you wanna sit with us, you wanna chill with us. As a newcomer, and you have to now adapt to this big life. High school, you heard stories that they put your head in the toilet pot. If you're not good enough, they will cut your hair, whatever it is, you hear that things in primary school in order to
Yeah.
scare you when you come to high school. So now I was here. It was the first day, and it was interval, and I had some of my familiar classmates and some unfamiliar classmates, and we were all in this group. Like we were sitting in this one big group, and then the more I was sitting in there, the more I heard the different groups and stories, and they would identify where they are now at. Like you see, you get the populars, the
Yeah.
unpopulars, the middles, and the ones that don't care. Like they just want to be themselves and whatever. Then I
Mm.
thought to myself, like, what group am I gonna go to? Do I want to be myself? Do I want to fit in? Do I want to be popular? Or do I want to hide? So I thought it doesn't matter like what crowd I'm gonna go into. I was forced to be part of the populace in the beginning.
Mm.
Then I was forced to be with the unpopulace also. Then I thought, okay, I went with the unpopulace because sometimes we like to hide, we like to isolate ourselves. Then I went with him, and we did actually negative things, like they would say, look here, let's skip this period, or let's do something so that people can notice us. And I was like, and after being in this environment for like the first week, I was like, guys, this is not me. Like, I just want to be myself, and I
Mm.
think I'm gonna separate myself from you guys. And from time to time, our big group became separate, and everyone went into the different groups of influence or spheres of influence where they felt they fit in, or where they can be themselves. Did you ever have like a feeling where you don't know where you want to be, but you know where you want to be? Now that was the moment where I knew I wanted to be myself and be where I wanted to be.
Yeah, it is really great that you can go back to yourself and talk to yourself, because that's where most people lose themselves, when they can't be able to talk and just sit with their emotions. And the fact that you could do that to yourself at grade 8 level, that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, V. So like, Lekesha, do you have anything to add?
Like, yes, like especially in 8th grade, like you really don't know where you belong because like most of your classmates that was your friends on primary school, they also like have friends on high school that's like higher grade than them. Then they separate from you like when you get in 8th grade, so you don't know like where you supposed to fit in afterwards because they all like they're the only friends when you come to high school. So for me it was like like how can I like say, was like a challenge because like I knew people on high school obviously, but they weren't as much of friends. And I like intervals, I felt more comfortable going to sit by them, but there were also like negative influences because at that time they were like smoking or marijuana, even or like cigarettes on school. But I didn't do any of that because like I told myself like it's my first year in high school. Like I don't want to do anything bad because like I want to be in the good books like for the first year. But then it turned out like and the more I went to sit there, the more they want to influence me like into doing the same stuff they were doing. And it like eventually I fell in the trap of like them trying to influencing me like into smoking. I tried it and then like I told myself I must get away from this group because like my grades is gonna drop eventually. And then like after like a few months I got myself out of that group and I could tell myself like how my grades eventually went from being that downgraded to like an upgrade. And I eventually found I'm like self sitting with positive friends eventually on high school. So like we all have that situation where we first come to grade 8. It's always like a peer pressure at that point.
So thank you, Lakeisha, for sharing your story. And to the viewers also, like, what is signs that you experiencing peer pressure, but you don't like, you know you experience it, but you don't know you experience it. Because as a teen, sometimes we think that, what we think is what, or that is how it is. But then we don't really know that
Mm,
we going through this peer pressure, but we thinking, no,
mm,
we are just ourselves or whatever, we just being ourselves. Like, a sign of peer pressure can also be like avoiding school or social situations. Like, what is social situations? That's like groups. Let's say, for instance, there's a gathering, or whether it be someone's party. Like, we know we go to parties, but the good ones, guys. So, like, or even it can be also someone's birthday, or it can be a family group. And now when you're there, you avoiding it because you don't want to talk to people, or because like you avoid school because at school they tell you dress a certain way, your hair isn't right, do your hair like this, do two plaits, wear your shirt up, or come also with colorful socks, even though it's not a part of the school conduct. Or now there's this new style, like at our school, there's a style where girls come with this polo neck and they dress. That's also one of the styles that they started. So now they will like be like, why are you the one that doesn't want to do that? Like, you just want to, like, you don't want to follow the trends and whatever. Like, that's a sign that you, like, if you don't want to go to school because you're being peer pressured, that's a sign. That's a sign that you being peer pressured. Even like if you avoid, like if you're avoiding school because of school work, the heavy workload or stuff, that is like different. But if you're avoiding school because you're afraid of what your friends is gonna say, and you're afraid of them forcing you to do something, and you eventually doing it, then that is a sign. Like, an example where you being like pressured or something at school is when they will like tell you, look here, your one friend will tell you, there's maybe an oral that's on, like it's out of 10 or 15, but it counts for 30%, right? And then they will ask you, look here, I'm shy to do the oral. Don't do it with me. Let us fail together. And are you scared of losing that friend? Then eventually you don't do that thing because you value your friendship more than your schoolwork. And that's also like a thing when you how do you one question for you, Lakeisha and V, is like, how do you not give in to your friends' peer pressure if if you like really don't want to lose your friend? How do you give in?
like for them like to succeed in the peer pressure on
Or
that
like for
note.
them,
Um, for them to like give in. I'd say like I'll first consider my education in that scenario because like friends aren't always there because some like they'll tell you like they're always gonna be there for you, but in the long run they're not because they're actually just wanting you to be there for them. So in that case, I'll rather not give in and do what my heart tells me. But if it's a case like okay, like I'm gonna like give in, I'm first gonna like consider like is it really worth it to give in or like should I like really give in to the peer pressure?
I see what you're getting at, Lakeisha, and that is also like that's something that we as youth face. We face peer pressure a lot. Like a
Mm,
common thing is the way you dress. In our community, it's known like you like if you're now looking for a social status or whatever it is,
mm,
name brands is the way, and that is how you are popular in
mm,
our community. But if you actually just wear what you want to wear and be who you want to be, then you stand out because that is who you are. you're not being pressured because everyone is wearing name brands, and you're not pressuring your parents into buying you these expensive things just to now be a part of the social group or be in this popular group. So I saw that someone commented that you look black but sound colored. So one thing is for sure, I am colored and my and Angolan. To bring up that topic, my father is Angolan and my mother is colored. So I am mostly colored. Thank you guys. I am a colored. To bring up that colored and Golian, whatever you wanna mix it with. So I'm fine, as whatever whatever people think, that's what they think. I know I'm Lekesha. That's all you need to know. So moving on, we were speaking about like how do you not give in to peer pressure like from your friends, like, oh, how do you give, like, for instance, you don't want to lose
Yes,
your friendship
Lekesha?
with your friend. You don't want to lose your friendship with your friend, and she pressures you to do something, and if you don't do it, you might not be friends with her, but your bond is so close that you don't want to break it, and you eventually do it. Like, was there ever scenario, or like,
Mm-hmm.
where you did something because you didn't want to lose your friend that you didn't want to do, but you knew if you don't do it, you're gonna lose your friend? Was there ever a time when that happened to you? So we struggling to communicate with us this evening. V, can you hear me? So we'll come back to her, guys. So, like, another sign also of peer pressure is like being very image conscious. Like, you now worried about, you know, I have this thing, like,
Um,
I have a
I
unibrow,
think
right?
how I can not give into peer pressure and it's a friend though is
Okay.
So, anyways, the next sign of peer pressure would be being very image conscious. Like, that's like where you now look at yourself and look at the way others are, like the way they wear the way they do their makeup, the way they do whatever it is that they do, the way they dress, the way they carry themselves. That's being image conscious, your looks wise and appearance. So another, like, that sign can be like another real or relatable fact to that can be like when you in your friend group, right? And they were probably like all of them is wearing this white and black or this pink and white or pink and denim sweaters or whatever. And now they like you come there and now you have to now dress like them to fit in. Otherwise, you're not in the group, or you have to now wear your hair. Like, if there will be like today, everyone's wearing a ponytail, and if you're not wearing a ponytail, you don't talk with us today, or you're not our friend, or whatever it is. And now you every morning you will wear your hair in a ponytail and wear those colors because that is what your friends wear, and you scared of like leaving or being alone because you love your friends, man, and you have a close bond with them. You see, like, what more can you add to that, Lakeisha?
It's also like if you like, for instance, you're in a nerd group, like this, like you also wanna like put into the popular zones or whatsoever. You're gonna like you as a like, for instance, like a nerd, you're gonna wanna like dress up without your glasses for like a day or so. You wanna like fit in with them, but they're gonna make you uncomfortable. So for you to feel comfortable in your own skin, do you don't be pressurized into fitting into other groups because you like you best. Don't feel pressurized by people because like you don't look the way they look. You own your own body. That's the thing for me when it comes to body image. You own yourself, your own body. Feel comfortable in your body.
Thank you, Lakeisha. V, do you have anything to add?
I would say almost things Lekesha said, but yeah, first of all, look at yourself and look how you got to a certain point. Like you can look back and see, okay, I really worked hard for myself to be here and to be standing here proud of myself. So there's no need to change nothing for myself. And also, always keep in mind that you do not wear the same shoe size as the next person same to you, or not like in shoe size exactly, but your problems are different, and how you both handle problems is very different. So also look at that, because I can say if I feel pressurized to do something, one thing I do is just come home and sleep and not think about it. But someone out there, like maybe you, Lakeisha, you can feel like, no, I'm gonna tackle this thing head on, and I'll be done with it because we're different. So always look at that. Also, you're not the same as anyone out there because you are unique as yourself.
Hmm. Thank you, V. That's actually a very valid point. Like that is actually also very relatable in the case of when you feel like you not enough to be like a part of a certain group, or like now your behavior start to change and you like look here, this person said this or whatever. Like as V said, you are unique as yourself. Like be yourself. Also, that falls on last week's podcast about self-reflection and self-image. Like we're always trying to link each and every point to the points that we've also spoken about recently. Like
Mm.
so another sign of peer pressure is like expressing feelings like you don't fit in, or like your mood start to be low. Like other form of low moods is depression, because now you that's also like a way that you find your self image when you peer pressured like to the max now, and you starting to expressing like a feeling that you don't fit in and you're depressed and whatever. Sometimes when you're depressed also, it can be good, but it can also be bad. It can be good in a way that you can reflect, and it can be bad in a way when you don't reflect. So another thing is like expressing feelings like you don't fit in is like when for example now you are in a friend group, right, and you may be the one that the quiet one, or you may be the one that speaks much or whatever, and now they want to welcome a new person into your group, and you're fine with that because you're open to making friends and whatever, but like you and your best friend you have a close bond, and you don't you don't want to like break that bond between your friend and whatever. So now you come, and now you come at home, and now you feel like you I don't fit in here anymore. Like you just like you go down low and under, because now everyone's talking to this new girl, or everyone's trying to make her feel welcome and whatever, and now you think they're forgetting about you, but they actually listening and checking, and you all conversing together. You get what I mean, Lakeisha?
I get you to a certain point because like it happened to me once, like when I was in this small group, like on high school, when I had like eventually a smaller group. And then like we started like not me, but like one of my friends like she just asked me like, can we just invite one more friend? I was like, okay. But at that point I was like not sure should I speak about my feelings at that point. Seeing that I'm this like open minded person because I'm open to meeting any person. Like I'm open to making friends, whosoever, may it be female, may it be male. I'm open to making friends. And then it came to like a point where like my friend just gave more attention to this girl, and then I was like, okay, I'm not gonna speak up anything because at this point, like, what's the use like me speaking about my feelings because like I'm not getting noticed. And like it got to a point where I just felt like I'm just gonna sit aside. I'm not gonna say anything. Like even in class, I'm not gonna speak to them. None of that. So I got to a point where I actually exploded mentally and like emotionally because like I drain myself with my thoughts. I bottle it up every day, basically, and eventually I had to speak my feelings at the point. So number one is the don't bottle up your feelings. Like speak to your friends or what, like in your friend group, or like even to like family or friends near close by. How you feel, even to your parents, if you don't like feel comfortable speaking to your friends, speak up, because like the only way you're gonna get over your emotions is like speaking and like letting them know how you feel. So yeah.
V, is there anything you have on that particular side, like expressing feeling like you don't fit in, or like low moods that you experience when you know you under peer pressure? V, can you hear us? So V is experiencing technical difficulties. So like another form of like or a sign, like how do we as youth experience peer pressure in our community?
I would say
Technical difficulties.
So we as youth in our community, the biggest like peer pressure that we face would be um like the strain, like the newest peer pressures that youth or us experience within our friend groups, is social media. Like, how do you carry yourself on social media, and how do you carry yourself, outside? Like, the biggest fashion and trends is the biggest peer pressure you can get now in our community. In a colored community, or even a colored of community of diversities. We all, we try to keep up with the fashion trends and the social media, TikTok, whatever it is that's trending. We try and keep up so that we can, so that we can be a part of something that everyone's a part of. It's basically what it is. Like the biggest, like example of peer pressure that we experience in the communities. We have groups, like we have social groups also in the community, and we have like the biggest thing like that we see every day, you know is this music box. You walk with this big music box, and whoever is the loudest, they now the it, and everyone wants to be with them. Or the another thing is the taxis. We have the sound offs that we have, or the taxi must have the bass sound, or the taxi must have this like the bass system, or the bass hydraulics, whatever it is that they now going on about, like that's trending or that's new or fashion. Like if you want to fit in with the community, or in as a youth, you must dress a particular way. Nike Red is the way, your shoes, everything that you wear, like the way you carry yourself is also a big community peer pressure that we face in Ocean View. So V, coming back to the question, you back on, you can hear us clearly. Do you want to add to what you wanted to say? Lekesha, is there anything you have to say on that?
Like I think you've covered everything. But especially with the music box, like it's hectic because like everywhere you go, you see someone walking with a music box, and like it can be like what time in the morning, what time at evening, you're gonna hear that person playing a music box. So it's yeah, that's all I want to
Like,
say.
how do you identify? Another question is like, how do you identify positive and negative peer pressures in your community or in youth? Like, a positive is like when someone's peers encourage them to do something positive, What are examples of this? Like your friends that will encourage you, look here, go study. A big exam is coming up. We won't be like switch off your phone for an hour. We won't be chatting or we won't meet up for that hour. Go and study. You know, Lekesha, be yourself. When you do that oral, pause it, ace it, do it with pride, do it as yourself. That is positive peer pressure, if you put it in that way, because your
Mm.
peers, they're forcing you, they're pushing you to be a better version of yourself and to do good, like within yourself and within like who you want to become. So that's what positive peer pressure is to me. Like I had a time when my friends was like there was a time when I was like, I don't like, I'm now in final year, right? And the workload is new to me. It's like we all know it's hectic. It's now term two or but term one. And then I was like, I always like throughout high school, throughout primary school, I'm really like a more listening type of person. Like I listen to the teacher and that's just what I go in the exam with. I don't like really study or go over my work. And they were like, look here, Lakeisha, you need to study because this is big. You need to go study. We know that you pause, but you can do better. You can do like good. Try and be the best version of you. Like push in that exam, push. And that I would say like is very like it has a good effect. Positive peer pressure has a greater effect than negative peer pressure. Like one thing, negative peer pressure bring memories and lessons, but positive peer pressure brings encouragement and great results. So we are here. So Lakeisha, what do you have to add on that?
Um, Positive peer pressure. Um, that is mainly what you said. And it's like, how can I say? For me, like reality speaking, like why is my positive peer pressure? It brings out of me like my confidence, whatsoever. It motivates me to do better in my schoolwork because like we basically talk about everyday life things like what we do through during the week, whatsoever. We basically touch up on everything that we do. So that's my positive peer pressure. And like I got my supporters like my mom, my granny, they always support me like do better. Even my friends sometimes, like mostly. They'll be like, come on Lakeisha, we know you can do better. We know you better than an 80. Then we were like making study groups at school, like formulate before exam even start. We go over the work once again. Come on, we know we can do it. Because like we're not theory people and it's a lot of theory. Then we like reciting out like mad people, like what's about to go in. And the negative peer pressure. It's like for me, I'm a very lazy person. I like most of the time I barely touch my books. So I'll take that for me as like a downgrade because it's negative to me because I know I can do better. But for me, like when I become lazy, I just like feel like I want to sleep. I don't want to do nothing. And like when my friends tell me like, nah, man, you can do that in another hour. So come, we're gonna do something else. When I know I could have been studying or focusing on something positive besides doing something else.
So a question in the like comments is like, do you think this is how gangs are formed in communities? I feel like peer pressure is also a big thing that causes gangs in communities because you see gangsters they walk around, people fear them and they are they are popular in a way like that people are scared of them, they rob people or they build a status according to the number of crimes they committed or the number of murders that they might have committed or whatever the case may be. And as a youth you look in your community and you check like you always check for influences. And now you see the positive, but now you see more of the negative influence, which is gangsterism. And now you think, well, I think I think this is now because you see so much gangsterism Like now you think like, whoa, I think I must like be a part of this gang, or I must now be a part of this gang because they're popular and people know gangsters in the community, you see them, you experience whatever it is that you see or hear, and you're like, whoa, that gang is coming on or whatever it is, and they will walk there like they own the place, and and you like, wait, maybe I should like feel what it is to be a part of a gang. And that usually causes gangsterism because now you want to fit in, you want to fit into this this popular group in the community, or this popular influence which you now see is gangsterism. But I feel like if we had more positive influences, like more than the negative, which is gangs, like if we had more people that are positive influences, that would be like what youth would look up to. And some of us are looking up to those positive influences, and we thank them for being here in our community, and us looking up to them and thinking of them as an example. So I feel like that is also one of the reasons why um, gangs are formed. That can be because of negative peer pressure. Like one of the signs is like you feel like you want to fit in. You really want to be a part of that social group. So
Mm.
what can you add on that, V or Lakeisha?
I would say, yeah, peer pressure is one form whereby gangs are formed in a community because suddenly you feel like, oh, I want to be feared like those people. I want to be cool like those people having tattoos or holding guns. It is a negative peer pressure for me, yeah. And the peer pressure is one form gangs are formed in a community.
Mm. I also feel like it's negative, but for me, it's also like most of the people that goes into gangsterism is like when one of the family members that was in a gang has been murdered or something, and they were so close to this member that they actually want to go into a gang just to seek revenge on this person that actually killed the like their family member or friend. So it's basically a negative impact on our communities as like coloreds or communities of diversity. So yeah, that is actually a negative impact on our communities for gangsterism. And another question was, in our own opinion, do we think there's enough professional support for mental issues in your community? Like I'd say there is and there isn't, because like we have people that is here, but like we don't really seek out to that. We don't want to like know that we have those mental health issues. So by me saying that, like we don't want to acknowledge that we have these type of issues. We just want to like um how can I say, like throw it and like sweep it under the mat. We don't want to acknowledge that we have these health issues in our communities. As to we have people that have these mental health issues, but the institutions here are not as great as most of our people in this community of ours have for them, because they don't have the how can I say proper what's the word care for them, as like you get most more than one type of mental health issues to deal with. That includes like your depression, your anxiety, whatsoever. Do you have anything to say on that, Vio Lakeisha?
I would say, yeah, most people who suffer mental health illnesses do not acknowledge that themselves. And with that being said, they do not seek out for the help they need to get. So, mostly it begins if you don't see the way you are or how you act around certain situations.
Mm. Lakeisha?
So yes, yeah. So I feel like another relatable thing back to like mental health issues in the community or whatsoever. When you when you were youth, this falls under this topic very well, peer pressure, people see mental illness as a disease or like you have a sickness the way like if you were youth and you will probably come like your friends and you tell them, look here, I have this mental health issue, and they will think like there's something wrong with her or whatever it is that you facing. But I think like you do have help like for mental illnesses, but you don't also like have a lot of professional help. We don't like have so much therapist or so many resources or places that we can go in order to like deal with the like the big core things that we face with with our mental health or our mental um state that we're going through. Let's say for instance as a youth, there's many things we face. We know that we face a lot of things, but our minds like especially we overthink a lot, but also like you never really know when someone has a mental health issue until they will like tell you. So I feel like there's not much help like professional help in communities to help people with mental health issues, because also because the people doesn't like they're not willing to admit they have this mental health issue. And it's not like you can identify someone and say, look here, that person has a mental health issue, that person's um dealing with mental that person's mental wellness is not that good. It's not like you can just identify them out of nowhere. So I feel like
Mm.
we do need more help in that area. Like also falling back to the gangsterism, like that negative peer pressure, like the definition even on Google or whatever internet you will search for negative peer pressure, like it involves pressure to do something damaging or dangerous to fit in. So I feel like that
Mm.
negative peer pressure falls highly on gangs. It falls on you. It falls on you. If you don't do this, you're gonna get killed. You're scared for your life, and you're scared, if you leave this gang, you have no protection. So like you're just in this gang to be protected, or you're just in this gang to fit in or for the power. So I feel like peer pressure is a major, major, major influence, has a major influence, a major effect on gangsterism. And even also peer pressure has an effect on youth, like to the way they carry themselves, the way they express who they are, and even the way that they feel it's necessary now to portray someone else or turn into this other person when they're not actually that person. So, V, any final things that you want to speak about this topic? Like if you overview peer pressure and what it's about, you have anything you want to like add?
Um, I you've covered most of the stuff, brilliant work. But I'd add on saying peer pressure is something that can be avoided. Well, it can't be avoided, but if you make yourself liable to the most situations, it can be avoided. And you can actually see the good side of peer pressure, because if you surround yourself with the best type of group, not best, but the good side of your friends, you can actually be peer pressured into doing some good stuff like your schoolwork, maybe. And if you can't avoid it, though, you're gonna have to face more problems like the negative side of it. And that's when you get stuff like gangsterism. So it
Mm.
all ends up in how powerful your roots are, mostly, and how powerful you see yourself when it comes to
Mm.
peer pressure.
Yes. I'd say that when it comes to like positive and negative, see yourself where you want the best result. Is it in the negative or the positive? But mainly let it be the positive, because negative is gonna get you nowhere. Please, guys, that's all I wanna say.
Yes, guys, and well, it lost my last source on peer pressure is like it can be avoided, and always be yourself. Back to self-reflection, always be yourself. Like if it's positive peer pressure, take it by the hands. It was negative, please do avoid it. Even though you're scared to lose that friend, tell that friend like where you stand with that friend, or or tell that friend, look, yeah, I'm not gonna do that because that is not me. That is not I wanna do. Like always try and be yourself, push yourself to do better things rather than falling into the wrong things, because of your peers or because of being pressurized. Like learn to cool yourself and be who you are. So we thank everyone for tuning in, guys, this evening. We thank you for tuning in. We thank you for watching and listening on what peer pressure is to youth and what peer pressure is to us. So,
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
thank you, everyone.